But getting back to the schedule, most of the guys are putting in 10, 12-hour days is more or less a minimum. And when you see how many hours and then how many hours you waste, one of you is going to ask me in their first email, well, what's wasted time? Is QLA wasted time? Is me taking my daughter to the Guinea Garden wasted time? And me going to the gym wasted time? And God knows what else. If you have to ask if it's wasted time, it's wasted time. The fact that you ask means it's wasted time. And when you see, when you spend 4 hours, the average guy that comes through the program spends 4.5 hours on social media a day, the day they walk in the door. 4.5 hours. But when you keep track of it, you're going to find out it's 4.5 hours. Do you realize it's 6.1 hours on a national level? 6.1. What the fuck can you possibly do for 6 motherfucking hours on social media? And they're not even doing link fuck. One of the shareholders is a part of an SBA loan, and the SBA loan had gone defunct before, and there's some special regulations that he's got to jump some hoops over. I guess it might not have been anticipated. He came out, and he's not the only one, that a couple of you have started the process. He didn't talk about, he made an acquisition using the program, then another acquisition had failed, if I remember correctly, and then he came to the seminar, because he already talked about the acquisition he made in 2015. Then he tried another one and it failed. You don't come to me because you're flush with cash and you love me. Desperation or inspiration, and there's nobody fucking inspired in this room. That's it. I am the last bar in the last fucking town, and the earth is flat. And I'm here. I'm the last saloon. And that door is the abyss. You're falling off the earth. You don't come here. Not just because you think it's expensive, because it's not, but because you've tried every motherfucking way to be a cunt without balls that you can possibly think of. That's it. You've tried everything. Hundreds of books, thousands of hours listening to these fucking mongoloid idiot retards on their podcasts. And then finally, you stumble into my saloon, my joint, right through there. But there's the end of the world right there. So it's not far from here to the end of the world where you fall off the abyss into no man's land. I know that. I used to be concerned 25 years ago. I don't want them if they don't like me. That's bullshit. I never thought that. I don't want them if they don't like me. Some people are just, I have to listen to you 90 seconds and I can give you the answer. Like him. It wasn't even 90 seconds, 30 seconds. 30 seconds. And then like the kid that I described, the other kid, the Haitian kid that did everything perfect except he got his head chopped off. If that had gone through, that kid would have never been here. He would have never come. But the bottom line is you are here. This is a slightly more sophisticated model because his first roll-up is him, and he's already funded by private equity, and I mean, it's a little more confusing. But it's not confusing in the sense that it's not debt. Debt is covered by free cash flow. That part's not different. And as he said, some of the, or at least one of the more experienced individuals on his dream team board wasn't used to it. He was uncomfortable doing it, and that'll be a struggle for you in the beginning. Now, some of you may not be a struggle. Again, depending on your leadership skills. You know, you're in the trench warfare in La Somme, World War I, and the second lieutenant or the captain's got a whistle and a pistol and a swagger stick. Over the top. Now, who in the fuck right mind was gonna follow this skinny cocksucker from Cambridge over the top when 85% of them got their fucking brains blown out as soon as they went over the top? The ones with a whistle, a swagger, drop the whistle, swagger, and a pistol. They can't reach the fucking Germans on the other side. Leadership, that's what gets you there. And your leadership skills will get better and better as you go along. He had pretty good skills because, I mean, he was already the CEO of a fairly chunky sized company, and now he's just, he's continuing to play the playbook. Okay, what are some of the takeaways from listening to him? I know it's easy. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. Believe me, it's not Pedro easy peasy, but I mean, it's fucking easy. But see, even if I put people up there that failed, they're going to tell you I failed. Like he said, the one M&A guy he didn't get on the board, which I was fucking beating him on his weekly report, he said it was his fault. He came up with excuses. You can justify just about anything in life if you bullshit yourself enough. But so even the failures, I mean, would tell you, I decided it was more important to me to do this. I had a value change in my life. Some guys will have a heart attack. Some guys, their wife comes down with cancer. And those are great reasons, fine, don't do it. If some guys will just say, I don't want it that bad. I don't want to work 100 hours a week or 120 hours a week or whatever it is. And some guys have done it at 60 hours a week. I would be disingenuous and a lying old bastard if I told you there's many of those, because there aren't. On 25 years, I can count two hands that were 60-hour week people that got this done.
Is he a 60-hour week person?
No, fuck, no, he's not. Like you said, last weekend, 17 hours. So that's 8 hours a day, which is more than most of you assholes work. So, I mean, and that's the weekend. He's in a tough business, a lot of competition. And for him to survive as a boutique in that part of the industry, no, he's not. In the recent crop, the guys that have been successful are 90, 100-hour a week. We've got a few that are more than that, but we have very few that are less than that.
Can you define that a little better, 90, 100-hour a week?
90 to 100. Like, what do you mean?
Breaking that down, like on the weekends, obviously that's 7 days a week.
Yeah, that's 10 hours a day, it's 70. 12 hours a day is 84. You with me so far?
No, I'm just getting his routine right.
No, well, he saw the routine, but the questions about his routine don't mean shit. By the way, all the people that ask questions about routine are the people that don't do it. I can tell you all 4 of the people that ask those questions in that group are in the bottom 4 of their class. I can tell by the questions you ask. I can tell the ones that don't ask questions, and I can tell the dude that ask questions, because you're asking questions based on your own self-image. Down deep inside in your subconscious, you know, well, I won't even get up at 3 in the morning to fuck her in the ass, so why am I gonna do that? You know you won't. So, but to break it down, most of the guys get up, take a piss, go to the gym, work out. Some of the guys, like his gym is like 1.5 floors from his house. My gym is, but I check my emails first. Most of the guys check their emails, and I don't have that many emails. I get 6 emails a day. I didn't get 1 email today, not 1. I only got 2 emails yesterday. And then I figured it must be the weekend. Lazy cunts.
What about reports?
Reports? Weekly reports. The people are, when I give a seminar, the mentees don't have to give me a weekly report. So I didn't get weekly reports this weekend because I'm spending my time with you and I don't have time to read 125 fucking weekly reports. So that's about what we have, about 120. And so then he has meetings. Right now, he's got an agenda that's being driven by his investment banker that's selling them. And those guys are task-orientated and they're driven. And so they know that, we got this meeting, this presentation, and so they will set up the meetings for you Monday through Friday. Plus, then he's got to run the business on top of that. And for a while, he didn't want to fire the VP of sales, which I encouraged. And then he took it over, and he had the best Q2. And he sounds like a CEO of a public company. He talks in terms of quarters. And that's because he's been a CEO of a big company for, since 2012. Or COO first, then CEO. So, I mean, he's in the top 5% of the structured people that come through this deal. Because he's already been doing it. But as structured as he is and as smart as he is, he didn't think about, fuck, I can do this for me. Because a lot of hired top gunslingers have been doing it for you and you and you and me for so long that they lose concept that they can do it for themselves. But like he said, and I just know which button to push. But getting back to the schedule, most of the guys are putting in 10, 12-hour days is more or less a minimum. And when you see how many hours and then how many hours you waste. One of you is going to ask me in their first email, well, what's wasted time? Is QLA wasted time? Is me taking my daughter to the kindergarten wasted time? And me going to the gym wasted time? And God knows what else. If you have to ask if it's wasted time, it's wasted time. The fact that you ask means it's wasted time. And when you spend 4 hours, the average guy that comes through the program spends 4.5 hours on social media a day, the day they walk in the door. 4.5 hours. But when you keep track of it, you're going to find out it's 4.5 hours. You realize it's 6.1 hours on a national level? 6.1. What the fuck can you possibly do for 6 motherfucking hours on social media? And they're not even doing link fuck. Now you're going to be 6, 7, 8 hours a day on link fuck. But that's not Facebook. And when they do the pictures and that, And people, even though there's a law passed in America, I'm not supposed to look at your Facebook when I'm making a determination whether I'm going to be in business with you or hire you. But I do. Everybody does. If he does this on Facebook, God only knows what he does that he's not putting on Facebook. Next. And when your directors that you tried to contact through LinkFuck, and they look at your Facebook page, next, you never hear from them again. Never. You look at your Facebook. It's embarrassing for the most of you. It's a fucking embarrassment. 4 hours, our kids. 4 hours at the beginning of the year, and they're down to less than 1 hour at the end of the year. And that's because a lot of them drop out of Facebook completely, and the ones that are left over. Now, when you're a grandparent, fine. Facebook's great to keep hold of your grandchildren. But I mean, it's a full-time job, and he's got 2 full-time jobs. He's got the rolling up, and he's got the running of a very successful business. Very successful business. What else about him? Yes, sir.
I had a question about the milestones when you're looking to exit. Is it a profit milestone or is it a revenue milestone?
You let the market tell you. Okay, if it's a raging bull market and the multiples in your industry have expanded from 12 times earnings to 20 times earnings, doesn't matter if it's revenue, profit, or a top line, as they say in the business, or bottom line, it doesn't. You just want to hit the bid, that means sell, be on the sales block when they're hot, Some of you will say, or some of your board members will say, well, God, we may have another 6 to 36 months left of this bull market. Well, I'd rather be early. It's the only time I believe in early ejaculation. It's the only time I believe in, early withdrawal. I'd rather get out early and then never get out. And that's when your leadership skills. You say, well, that's fine, that's great. Now, I would say, I'm not telling you to say, well, if you were so smart, how come you're still poor and you're looking to me to make you rich? Now, don't do that. But I have said that. That's a great idea. But how has your program worked for you so far? You're 61 and don't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Don't do that, though. There's other ways of saying that in a more, not politically correct, because you're still calling them a retard, but nicer, and I don't like it, more genteel. It's like when you tell your significant other she's too fat. I say you're too fat. You don't say it that way, okay? When she walks down the road and it looks like 2 pigs in a gunny sack, she's a little overweight maybe, But so how do you tell them that they're too fat and not too, without hurting their feelings, Pedro? There's no good time to make a hard decision. You're either fat or you're not. Now, you can never be too thin or too rich. I've lived 72 years. I'm a believer of that. You can never be too thin or too rich. Can be too fat, but you can never be too rich. And if you don't think money buys happiness, you don't know where to shop. If you don't think money buys happiness, you don't know where to shop. And my daughter with the pool, that's just partial example of that. But you've extended your debt for no payments for a year. I mean, she's been real quiet. She's already rolling this out before she even got here. Real quiet. But that's exactly right. And when we talk about the structuring of the DEP, as they say, which I like to tease the Europeans, you said DEP in the office yesterday 4 or 5 times. DEP. Why do Europeans say DEP? There's no motherfucking P in it. Why do you say DEP instead of debt?
I don't know. P. Can't speak proper English.
Well, no, but I mean, all the Europeans, ever since I've been here, say DEP instead of debt. But when we talk about, and it's really simple restructuring. Now he's talking about layered restructuring. Layered, because he's gonna have mezzanine piece, and on one of the other webinars he did, it confused everybody. We got a mezzanine piece over here, and we're gonna buy this guy at a discount, and we're doing, I don't know, forget all that shit. Let's tone it down. Pardon? Yeah, correct. Ours is the simplest structured finance known to man. Free cash flow, which normally equates to EBITDA, covering debt service. If they like your deal, 1.1 times coverage is cool. If they think they don't like your deal, 1.5 times debt service, the coverage. If they think it's a high-risk deal, 2 times. But we're not doing any 2 times deals. Our deals average 1.25 to 1.35 coverage. So that's the monkeys, the retards, the reprobates, the this, the that, everybody. 1.25 to 1.35 coverage. And free cash flow is free, unencumbered, unleveraged, ungeared cash flow that you could burn in a fireplace. Because they'll say, okay, fine, we'll do this, but you got to keep $1 million in the bank all times. And that won't be on any of the covenants, any of the paperwork. And you'll come back and tell me all proud as hell about, and I'll say, are there any unwritten covenants? Just one, Mr. P. What is that? I'm just waiting to hear. And he says, I got to keep $1 million in the bank at all times. Well, how is that free unencumbered cash flow, you fucking moron? There's no covenant. He says, the bank, any bank, call your loan anytime they wake up with a hair up their ass, no matter what. So free, unencumbered, and that normally equates to EBITDA. It's simple. And when you take the bank out of the equation, pun intended, and you're just dealing with seller finance, we have now made it 50% easier. Okay, YouTube, thank you. Ciao. See you later.